I see dead people.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze. You are about to embark on a journey, one that often leads to more questions than answers. But fear not, your host, Krista, Aaron, and Brandy have the experience, the perseverance, and yes, even the gifts to pull back the veil and allow us to glimpse the other side. They will share not only their experiences, but will introduce you to world-renowned researchers and experiencers to help you find answers in the murky waters of what we call the paranormal. Their bonds with each other reach far beyond friendship, resulting in a pull no punches approach to the many subjects they explore. Their goal? To open eyes, hearts, and even minds to what lies on the other side, and the answers residing there.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast. We appreciate everybody tuning in. As you can tell, this is not a live show. Brandy and I...
It is daylight right now.
Right, it's daylight. Honestly, our time, we're doing this on the previous Sunday morning before. So we are traveling as the show is going on right now, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah.
I guess in real time when they watch this, huh?
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, and we'll talk more about that too, where we're going, as a lot of people already know. But we'll wait until we bring up our co-host for that.
Exactly. But I do want to throw out a mention to our channels, which Monday night at 6:30 p.m. we have Texas Front Porch, and me and Tex got a good one. Of course, we try to have a good one every Monday. On Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, we have Van Buren Variety. At 8 p.m. Central, we have Beyond BMR. I don't know what he's got going. Maybe a surprise, maybe not. I don't know. On Wednesday, we have Jason McLean Questions Everything at 8 p.m. Central. On Thursday at 12 p.m., we have Bigfoot Michigan Rob, and you're going to have Brunch with Krista. Yeah. That's Brunch with Bigfoot Michigan Rob. On Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Central, you have us, Blondes and Booze. And on Friday at 8 p.m. Central, you have Blondes, Booze, and the Woo. Well, and then on this Friday night, we're going to have an interview with Thomas Ferrario. And if you've ever heard of Skinwalker Ranch, you need to listen to this one, because Skinwalker Ranch may be there, but we might have another one. So check it out.
Yep. It's be some good shows. So I'm going to go ahead and just bring Tim up, and we can talk briefly about why we're not doing this live.
Yeah, why are we doing this in the daytime on a Sunday?
right, exactly. Well, this is why, right here. So we will be at Potographs Parafest in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and this is being aired on Thursday evening. So if you are in the area, tickets are available. Come and see us on Saturday and look at the lineup. I mean, you can't beat it, honestly. So
Absolutely not. And they're going to have psychic galleries available all day long. So, you can't beat it for the price. You can't beat it for the lineup. You need to come on and show up, because this is, this is a big one. This is a big one.
And all proceeds go to the local animal shelter. So, and I'm gonna take the flyer off. But Tim, hey, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
It's Mr. Tim Maile.
Yeah. Well, his face was just on that poster. So if you want to tell everybody real quick about Potographs and this event coming up this weekend and all that good stuff.
Potographs for Pooches is something I formed in 2013, and to create a legacy for my rescue pup Murray. He had saved me from a suicide attempt back in 2007. It's become a labor of love. It has become a passion and really takes up most of my life. And I'm not complaining when I say that. Last September, Brandy was at the event where we surpassed $100,000 raised in just 9 years. And this coming weekend, or when they're listening to this, we'll all be headed to Ann Arbor to try to raise some money for the Humane Society of Huron Valley in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I'm really looking forward to getting there. And it's a stressful thing putting this event together because it is so large. So I think
how many speakers are going to be there? I mean, how many speakers? Not the gallery, but how many speakers?
I think there are 8 or 9 speaker slots, and then beyond that, there are 5 gallery readings too, which we'll be pushing the day of. $25 for a gallery reading is pretty affordable.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
It's a chance to sit in and get a reading because it's a small enough group that you're probably going to get a reading for $25. And if you try to do that at a table, it's going to be a little bit more than that. But
right.
Trying to make it an affordable weekend. $60 for the lineup we have is ridiculously low.
It is.
But we're hoping to get a big crowd, get some walk-ups, and raise some money for the shelter, and continue pushing Murray's legacy.
Yeah. So what everybody doesn't know is, Blondes, we'll be there as a vendor, but we also have Bigfoot Michigan Rob is going to meet us over there. So if you guys, aren't a fan of Blondes, but you like Bigfoot Michigan Rob, come and see him. He'll be hanging out with us on Saturday. And also our friend Letitia Nunnally. So her husband is Barton Nunnally, as most of you know. So she'll also be there. So don't only come say hi to all of us, come and say hi to BMR and Letitia and all of the great guests that Tim has coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Honestly, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. And this is one of my big trips for the year.
Yeah. And, honestly, I met a lot of people who's been on TV and none of them have wooed me and excited me more than John Zaffis. I'm not going to lie.
We are so excited to meet him. That's all we keep talking about is, John Zaffis. Right.
Right.
I mean, John, we love everybody you have coming, but I mean,
right. Everybody's great. Don't get me wrong, but John Zaffis
for $60 and John Zaffis. Yes. Count me in. I'm going.
He was a big get for me. I've been fortunate enough that when I broke into this field, I developed a friendship with John very early. So John and I have been friends for about a dozen years. And all it took was a phone call. I called him up and I said, my exact words were, I haven't asked you to be a part of the Potographs events yet, but I think it's time Murray gets a godfather.
Yeah.
Oh.
And immediately said yes. So that's how it all happened. And I'm excited to have him there. I'm excited for him to experience all of this. And everybody that's there is very excited to see John. And like you said, there's a bunch of great people on this lineup. And if I try to go through them without the poster in front of me, I'm going to forget somebody.
I'll put it back up. Let me put it back up for you. So everybody can see it, because I really do encourage everybody. Tickets are still available to get in touch with Tim and get your tickets. But go ahead, Tim. There's a poster.
There's Dustin Perry. He's become a staple of Potographs events. Very good friend. A lot of love for him from Ghost Hunters International. He's going to be there. Brad and Tim are the guys that put together Michigan Paracon, the greatest event I've ever been to. And awesome. Really, really blessed that they are going to be there. The owner of the Hinsdale House, Daniel Klass, is going to be hanging out with us. I've done a few events at Hinsdale for Potographs, but never had Dan at a regular Potographs event. So he's a new one. Todd Arnold, I could spend the rest of the time here talking about him, but I've been going around in dark buildings with him for 15 years investigating the paranormal, and I couldn't have a better partner.
Awesome.
Dana Stricker, fantastic friend, great medium. Rob Thompson, fantastic medium. Actually, there's an updated poster. James Anito is no longer going to be at the event. We have replaced him with Shaitan Noor, and she is going to be speaking about cryptoology.
Nice.
Richard Estep is coming in from Denver. Bill Konkoleski is the guy who runs Michigan MUFON, and Tim Woolworth, ITC Voices. Deb DeRue's doing a gallery reading also. Unfortunately, April Rohn is not able to make it. Christy London and Brian Danhausen are doing gallery readings. And then the Cryptic Paranormal Show, they're going to be doing MC work and doing live cut-ins to try to raise money online. So
That's
Oh,
awesome.
fantastic.
going to be a wonderful weekend, I hope. And I hope everybody enjoys it. Like I said, it's a lot of stress to run something like this, but at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. And the celebration
Yeah,
Saturday night.
I've met quite a few of the people on your poster, and I have to say this: they all have super big hearts. These people are fantastic. They're just so kind and so nice. So, like I said, come on out. You're missing out if you can come and don't.
Yep, absolutely. You guys won't regret it. It's going to be a good day, and it's a good day of learning, because paranormal, cryptid, UFO, there are no experts, but come and listen to some of the best and listen to what they have to say, and it's going to be a good day. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, so we're going to talk about today animals and the paranormal. Paranormal being ghosts, cryptid, UFO, any of it. And the three of us here all have experience with our own personal pets with some of the paranormal. So we're going to talk about some of that. And because as we know, animals are very, very sensitive to the unknown.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tim, do you want to, I know your house has some resident guests, I guess. You want to maybe talk
Friends.
about your experiences with your personal pets and what you've experienced?
I'm never alone here. It all starts, as far as pets, with a black lab that I had adopted years ago. God, it's 8 years ago already. We adopted a 13-year-old black lab named Sasha, and we had her for 11 months. And she had a very distinctive bark. And at the time, I had a little dog named Maggie, and then also Murray was here. And Sasha was only with us for 11 months, unfortunately passed away. But about 2 days after she passed, I heard her bark right at the stairs where she would sit and get so excited that people were coming home. And it was nice. It's a lot of people get freaked out by that stuff, but for me, it was comforting to know that, we only had her for 11 months, and, she had 13 years on this earth, but she did choose to come back and say, hey, I'm okay. And that's kind of
and honestly, something like that, Tim, she was 13 years old and you didn't get her until she was 11 months. She came back. It was almost like, the way I would take it would be like a thank you. I was happy. And,
at least for the last 11 months,
Right. She chose you out of all her 13 previous years. I think that's a great compliment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, she got to that age, and the owners took her to the shelter and made up some story.
That's
It's one of those things where they just didn't want to watch her die. And that's a horrible thing. And I was happy we were able to give her those 11 months, and even more proud that, like you said, she came back and chose me. So love that girl to death, and I'd like to think her and Murray are hanging out right now. So
right. Yeah, they probably are. You never know.
Well, I will tell you this. So I had a dog pass away he was my heart dog, and I think I got a picture of him. His name was Diesel. Loved the dog. I mean, we had him. Oh, I don't have a picture of Diesel up there, I don't think. Anyway, but he was an English Mastiff. I had him from the time he was 8 weeks old, and he died at 13 also, which was old for an English Mastiff.
Mhm.
And it was one of those where I knew, it's almost like he told me it was time. I kept holding on, and then the last 2 days, he couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom outside, So
Mhm.
we made the difficult choice to put him down. And I felt like, though, he told me, and it's weird as it sounds, but like he was ready. And so I have a good friend who is a medium, and he messaged me. He knew Diesel had been passed away. And he had actually, whenever I would come back, I lived up in Kansas area. Whenever I'd come back to St. Louis, his family would keep the dogs for me. And so Diesel knew this guy. And he messaged me, and real weird message. He said, I just want to tell you, he said, this is the first time I ever had someone's pet come back to me. He said, I don't know if it's because Diesel knew me or not. He said, I want to tell you, Diesel is with something about Detroit, and he's waiting for Maggie. And I'm like, that makes total sense. He goes, did you get that dog in Michigan? I was like, no, here's the story. So I had Diesel, and then we had another English Mastiff we had gotten. His name was Detroit. Detroit died before Diesel did. And Maggie was the current blue healer that I had. And which, it made total sense to me, because what he picked up on. However, my point being, Tim, is they are together, because Diesel came to my friend, with Detroit, and then they were waiting on Maggie, who we just lost last year. So I know that they are all together just because of that one beginning message that I received from my friend. So take comfort in that. They are together.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. Running around.
Yeah.
Causing a crazy mess.
Yeah, they are. They always, I'm like you, has your dog came back? Have you noticed your dog back again, or just that one time a couple days after?
Sasha has not come back since then.
Mm-hmm.
That I've noticed. Murray, whether it's speaking to me through mediums or me actually seeing him, him visiting me in dreams, I mean, he's all over. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So if he's in the room with me right now, I want to let him know that he can keep doing that.
He's always welcome.
But the biggest one for me, in any interaction from the other side with him, was the morning after he passed, because I had told him, like, you got to let me know that you're with Grandpa and that you're okay. My dad passed when I was very young, and I talked to my dad, and they said, you got to find my boy. I told Murray, you got to find Grandpa, otherwise I'm coming to get you. And that was me telling him, I don't want to be here if you're not. That next morning, I woke up to 5 messages from 5 different mediums, and every one of them had the same sentence to start it out, and they all said, Murray really needs his dad to know that he's okay.
Wow.
And he kept up his end of the bargain, so that's why we're getting together Saturday in Ann Arbor.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm still here.
It sounded like he really wanted you to get the message, because he just didn't contact one psychic medium. Not one.
right.
Like 5.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, we're going to tell every one of Dad's friends just so he gets the message.
Yeah.
He actually came through. Well, I got a reading with Carrie Kennedy, who is a fantastic animal communicator. I have the utmost respect for her. And she called me after Murray passed, and she's like, I would like to give you a reading from Murray if you'd like to talk to him. And one of the first things she said was, Murray keeps talking about this sausage. And I'm like, okay. And it made sense to me. And she said he really enjoyed the sausage sandwiches. And I used to get salami from the deli, and I would make sandwiches, and I would call them sausage sandwiches. And that was one of the things that he wanted her to tell me, because that was the last thing that he and I ever ate. So
wow.
It was so he comes through whenever he can. There was an instance where I had a dream, and I was in a field, and I was playing with Murray, and he went into this tunnel, like almost like a culvert, And I started to panic, and it was a few seconds, and then back through the tunnel came Ray, my current dog. And that was, for me, that was kind of him saying, just in case you didn't get it, I'm the reason that she's there.
Yeah.
And I sent that one for you.
Wow.
So, he's always looking out for his dad, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Now,
That's
when you first got Murray, now you had said something about you were encountering a lot of paranormal activity in the house, and you thought you were going crazy.
Yeah, and then when I brought him home, the first thing he did was start following everything. So he was very in tune with it, to the point where it's a story I don't tell very often, but there was one night where he was playing ball with something that I couldn't see in the bedroom. He would run, grab the ball, bring it back, and then, like, I didn't see the ball physically go. He would take it back to where it was, and then he would run back to me. But it was him, and just the way he was looking at whoever it was. I'd like to think it was my dad, because that's more comforting than some stranger in my bedroom. But he was very in tune with everything from the beginning. I would get home from investigations, and if I brought something home with me, he knew it. Like, I could tell by the way he looked at me. And I would just politely ask them to move on. One of my biggest fears while I was investigating the paranormal while Murray was alive, that I was going to bring something home that would harm him. And that never happened, thankfully. But yeah, he was incredibly in tune to what was happening. He still contacts. His favorites right now are April Roan and Deb DeRose. Those are the two that I get the most messages from. And those are the two he seems the most comfortable with. But every once in a while, I get a nice message. Like, Deb sent me a message the other day about my job situation. And she said, Murray is wagging his entire body. He's very happy that you don't have that stress, and things are only going to get better. So, just stuff like that. And it's an amazing feeling that you can still interact with your pets.
Absolutely.
I feel Diesel around me a lot. And actually up here in my kids all call it the shelf of death, because I have Diesel's remains up there, Maggie's remains are up there. Anybody close to me that passes away, the little funeral cards, or everybody's up there. And a lot of times I do feel Diesel around me still, and he passed in 2018 now, so I get it. It always makes me feel good, not scared, or I know he's good. Yeah,
exactly. Wow, that's awesome. Well, let's talk about Carissa. You had an incident with a horse.
I've had a couple incidences with horses. So I've had horses most of my life, off and on. And I'll go back about 12 years ago. We bought a farm down in Thayer, Missouri. It was right along the Missouri-Arkansas border. And we raised Missouri Foxtrotter horses. At one time, at this particular time, we had like 22 head of horses. And we had our house, but right behind our house was an older house that we used to keep like our feed and all that good stuff in. And we also had raised alpacas at the time too. And so we kept everything back there. And I also had 6 English Mastiff dogs, and I had 1 blue heeler. And my 1 blue heeler, she came in season. And so I would have to take turns. Diesel and Detroit and Maggie were my house dogs. And I had to take turns letting them out because of Maggie being in season. Had to separate everybody. And I come running in, and I opened up the door, and Diesel and Detroit went out in the yard. They were fine. I had to use the restroom. I had to pee really bad. So I told Maggie, I'll be back. I'll get you. Let me get the other dogs in. Let me pee. I'll come back and get you. Just running through. Next thing I know, I hear a dog fight going on outside. I run outside. It's Diesel and Detroit fighting, which they never did, but I always kept Maggie separated when she was in season. And Maggie was out there. And when I went back to the crate, so it was a regular crate that that they were kept in, and with the latches, it had 2 latches, and then it was in our sunroom, which had a back door. So not only was the dog out, both latches had been undone in the crate, and the back door was open. Yeah. So I thanked the ghost. I appreciate you trying to help me, because it was nothing negative there. I said, I appreciate you trying to help me. However, look what happened.
However.
Yes. So she would do weird things like that with the animals. We had our alpacas, we had white pipe fence, and they were next to the house. And we came home one day, and our pipe fence, which it took a strong person, because you had to push in and slide it. It wasn't like it would just come open, per se. And I came home one day, and I had alpacas out all over my yard. That ghost had let the alpacas out. I mean, it was just crazy things. And then one more horse story. My husband he trained a lot of our own horses, and he had one young one. Her name was KK, and he had been out working her in the morning. She had the saddle on. She was not yet broke to ride. So we went in for lunch, and my daughter went to the restroom, and that particular house had a window in the bathroom looking out, and he had left KK in the round pen. And she come out, and she said, "Did you let KK loose?" I'm like, no. So we went outside, and her saddle and everything was still on, and he had KK with her halter on and just tied to the fence there, not letting her run through there. And we went outside, and her halter was laying on the ground, and it wasn't like it had just fallen where the lead rope was just on the ground. It had been coiled, sitting right next to the fence. So my ghost was really big into my animals, big time. So yeah,
and for them not to cause a fuss, I mean, horses are very sensitive too. For them not to even cause a fuss over it, they're just like, well, okay, they're going to take my halter off, and
I could see if it would just have fallen off, it would just be laying there. But the fact that it was laying on the outside of the round pen and the lead rope was coiled around it. A horse isn't going to do that. Just saying.
No, no, they're not. They're not.
So my haunting, honestly, it was a lot around my animals. So the man that we bought the house from, I talked to him about that, and he had told me his mother had died in the old house behind. And when I had talked to him, I was like, did she have animals? Or because by this time it was becoming annoying. And he said, oh my gosh, she collected animals. She loved animals. So I guess she didn't agree with that, whenever I'd leave, I would crate my animals, or that they were, in fenced in areas, or, yeah.
So don't tie them up. I don't like it.
Nope, she didn't like it.
I just would like to point out that you said in season 4 times, and each of those times I wanted to giggle like an 8-year-old boy. So I learned my maturity level there, and it's not very high.
Well, it's kind of like, how do you say it politely, or for radio? How do you say it for radio?
Krista works so hard to say it politely, and then I'm just like, let's talk about that again.
Like I said, I was like, how do you really say that for like radio? I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't know. It was the craziest stuff, though. I mean, that happened there. This is some of our herd we had. I'll put up a picture. This was that location. It was taken a long time ago. I guess 2010. Some in there. That was some of our horse herd. And then this is the dog that was in season. This was right before she passed away, but that's Maggie. And she's the one that the two got into it over. So anyway, but my husband, he is big into like the healers. And so I know a lot of people are anti not fixing, spaying, neutering your pet, and I'm all for it. However, like he bred her she was a working dog, and we got pups that were actual working pups. So don't hate on me too bad for not spaying.
Please.
I would like to piggyback off of that if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Being the guy that raises all the money for shelters,
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest misconceptions is that folks think I really hate people that breed animals.
Mm-hmm.
Those dogs need homes too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not willing to say, okay, don't ever buy from a breeder, because then what happens to those animals? So
Right.
yeah, I just choose to work with rescues, but I
Yeah.
would never, unless we're talking puppy mill, and the dogs are
Yeah, that's
dogs are in
different.
horrible situations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it just in general, if somebody breeds their animal and
Mm-hmm.
wants to sell their puppies to their friends or whatever is going on there, or they want to use them to work on the farm, like
Mm-hmm.
I would never, have a bad word to say about that. And people sometimes are very, very surprised by that because I do so much work with others. But
Right.
an animal, a dog is a dog. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
where it comes from; it deserves a home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's honestly, that's why I had so many. I mean, just, those 3 were our house pets, but the other ones, they just, stayed there on the farm. We had 50 acres, and honestly, they really didn't leave the house and the yard, very much. And they all needed homes. So guess what? They came to Krista's to live, and they become part of the family,
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Yeah, I've currently had my 2 boys for 10 years now. It's 10 years now, and
there's
they're
Brady.
getting up there.
There they are.
Yes, there's my babies. They're waiting for Taco Tuesday. There's my babies, and God love them. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, but they were brothers and litter mates,
Mhm.
but they've been wonderful. I mean, as for them and the paranormal, no, not so much. I mean, if it's not food, they don't care.
Yeah.
They're just not interested. Now,
Yeah.
my daughter has a cat. Phoebe, now, on the other hand, she is very intuitive. She is there she is as the kitten. So sweet. The upside down heart on her head.
Oh, that is cute.
She is, that's the cat. That's what she really is. But she is super intuitive. I do have things that happen in my home, and I'm going to contribute it to I have a haunting. I mean, I have videos that we've showed before about, I've got lights coming on and off. I've got curtains moving for no apparent reason. I mean, I do have all these things going on in my home, but my dogs, they never respond to it. My boys are like, yeah, I don't, whatever, whatever's going on is going on. But my cat, she has a tendency to stare. Like, she'll come in my room and she'll be laying out on the bed or whatever, and she will stare like at a specific spot longer than she should. I mean, just stare at it. And yesterday was a prime example. She was following something in the room, like it was moving, that was up in the corner or whatever, but her head was following it. And I'm like, are you seeing something I'm not seeing? Because I'm not seeing anything. And she was right there, and she just kept following. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's a fly or a bug, or, because it got a little warm here in Missouri. So I'm like, maybe it's a bug. There was no bug. Right. But she is definitely following something and seeing something. And one night even, her and my daughter were in my room, and we're just sitting there talking, and we're petting the cat. All of a sudden, she looked up in that corner, and she just started hissing. And I thought, what is going on? And she started hissing so much. I'm like, Abby, you're going to have to get her out of this room. Whatever's in here is bothering her that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, it's something. It's something.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You said, like, your dogs don't care. They're food motivated. And
yeah,
your cat does. I wonder if animals, and I guess maybe it's true, like they can be like how some people feel like they're sensitive. Some feel like they're not. Maybe it's with animals too. Some are sensitive,
Well,
maybe more so than others. You
well,
know.
I've had my boys since they were 7 weeks old,
Hmm.
and maybe they're used to it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
That could be true.
Yeah, I'm still a little sick. Me and Chris are still, if you hear us coughing, it's
Yeah.
everybody knows we're still sick a little bit.
Yeah. On the downside, though.
Yes, thank
Definitely
God.
on the
I'm
downside.
tired of being sick.
Yeah. So I think maybe like some animals are sensitive and some maybe aren't. You know. I don't know. That's the only way I know to chalk it up.
I think that's the case with humans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's some humans you could hit them in the face with a ghost and they wouldn't recognize it. So
Exactly. That's true.
I don't know why it would be any different the other way.
Right.
I guess for me, I put dogs on such a pedestal that
Mhm.
most of the times I'd rather be around them than humans. But
Yeah.
yeah,
correct.
it's just
I can relate.
I do think there might be a correlation there, though. I mean, maybe there are some dogs that just do not notice this stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Just like you hear that children are more open to paranormal activity,
Mhm.
but not every child talks about an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
It's hit and
Mhm.
miss. So maybe it's that way with the canines.
Yeah. I would believe that. I
Yeah,
really would. I got one more encounter at that house that I lived in down there, and this is maybe not on the cryptid side of it, but whenever I would come home, my horses were always there. They knew it was always time for feeding time, and all of them were up at the gates. And this particular night, they pull in. They're gone. There's not a one of them. And again, there was a bunch of them. I showed that picture. That was just one of the pastures that we had with the horses. None of them were up there. And so my husband went to look for them, and it was dark by now. So he went walking back behind the property, and there was a wet weather creek that went through there, and then there was a big tree line. And he said that he saw something, eye shine, following him along the edge of the tree line. So we come back up to the house, and by then he had me, like, oh, I want to go check it out. I just want to see what it is. And he grabbed the gun, and we got in the truck. Me and him and my daughter got in the truck and went looking down for the horses, calling for them, nothing. And I didn't see, by then we didn't see anything, no eye shine, no nothing like that. And
right.
my husband was saying it was a cougar. That's what he thought it was a cougar down there, and that they weren't coming up. So this went on for about 45 minutes. He was getting ready to go walk through the woods and see where they all went, because how are you missing? At the time, it was probably 20 horses. How does 20 horses disappear, right? So he was out there doing his calls, because usually when he calls, they all come running. They know that, and nothing. So after being out there and doing it, we were standing out in the back, and he was walking down. Well, you could hear them just rumbling, like, a big herd of horses coming, and they all come running up. And honestly, I can't really say what was out there that night that spooked them. I'm not saying it's cryptid, and I'm not saying it was a cougar. I don't know what it was, but something was out there that them horses did not like. And if people know horses, they're all about the food. They're all about their grain.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And for them to know that we were there and not come up, there was something going on that they picked up on, and like I said, was it a cryptid? I don't know. I do know about, probably an hour north of my location is a really big hotspot for dogmen, and that's in Eminence, Missouri. So that I do know. Could it have been something? Could it have been a bear? Could it have been a cougar? Possibly. But that was just weird too. And that's, I guess my point in being is that the animals, not only ghosts were they picking up on, but something out there in the woods.
Yeah, something was telling them not, and it's funny how that the animals can communicate to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, just wow, it's just like a certain stance or a low noise or something, and they're communicating with each other, telling each other, hey, look at this, do you see that, or come here, or it just amazes me. It really does.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just kind of crazy. I don't know. Animals are pretty special, I think, and I think they, like your cat hissing, and maybe it was just
Yeah, that was so strange.
to maybe warn you or something, maybe your cat was trying to protect you, and Abby saying, hey, there's something here that's not right.
Right. And as we've talked about several times, I do think it may be a family member that is in my home quite a
Mhm.
bit, maybe two.
Yeah.
But this wasn't her normal behavior, because normally she will just stare and follow it wherever it goes. She'll just watch it. But this time it really startled her. But
Hmm.
again, in our field of the paranormal, did I perhaps bring home a hitchhiker? Something that she didn't care to have in the house?
Me too.
I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are
How
little warning systems.
Yeah, they are. They truly are. I
Mhm.
Yeah, I could tell more stories about, like, because we did Civil War reenactments, and we would go on haunted battlefields. And there's one place, it's not even a haunted battlefield. However, it's Shoal Creek over in Kansas City area, Independence area. Excuse me. And my one horse, like, she is stupid there. Like, you can't get her to do anything. She'll fight you to ride, and that's not like this horse. That's not how she is. She's a good horse that most anybody can ride. And over there,
Mhm.
it's just a lot of weirdness. But Shoal Creek has all these different buildings that were brought in from locations that are haunted.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, you think about this too, as we just talked to Terry Mosby last week. We just talked to her about the Cannibal House
mhm,
there in oh my gosh, I forgot the town, but she was talking about hearing residual haunting noises, such
mhm,
as soldiers walking, things like that. But she did hit on the part where she could hear the horses.
mhm.
She can hear them with the sounds that they make and things like that, if as if they were standing right there, but there were no horses. So, I mean, if you don't think an animal can haunt you, you're crazy.
Yeah,
You're crazy, you know.
yeah.
So,
And
I mean, I don't know
and
how
for
many.
another show, on the animal line, we are going to have one with Terry on the hellhounds. So, because she did have an experience with
Yes,
them, which has nothing to do
yes,
with this. Listen, today is love and peace and good stuff, good juju.
good
So,
vibes. We're not going to talk about hellhounds. I mean,
yeah. But that reminded me, because
let's yeah,
yeah,
let's
she
not
talked
go
about
there.
that. She talked about that. So, but yeah, it's crazy how these animals, really sense
Yeah,
things.
yeah. And
Another.
I don't think that I've had very many animals that have been intuitive. But the animals that I have had, I want to say my cats were more in, able
Mhm.
to see than the dogs I have.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that plays a role in it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
that blue healer I had mentioned earlier, Maggie. I had taken her out to Lost Valley Lake Resort, and Brandy, you've been out there, and it's
Yes.
haunted out there. There's a lot of activity,
Mhm.
and this was probably, I don't know, it's probably been 8 years ago. I took her out there, and took her
The place
to
is
where
huge.
there was a spot that was a 13-year-old boy had committed suicide on the jungle gym,
Yeah,
and
that's the one I hit on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And do you remember I was telling you about what my dog did out there? And I guess I shouldn't have done this, but I offered the kid, I had my dog out there, not at the time with Brandy, but again, 8 years ago, to go ahead and pet my dog. Oh my gosh. She was flipping her stuff. She loves
Mhm.
everybody. But you could visibly watch her, like, move around like somebody was trying to pet her. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She's just not comfortable with you. And I tried not to make it where, I was insulting this ghost, this, teenage ghost. You're like, hey, stay away from my dog, your ghost, when I had just invited them to do that. But I wasn't
Correct.
thinking. I didn't think, I
Hmm.
didn't know if she'd react or not. Well, I found out she sure did, and she didn't want no part of it.
Yeah.
So that was
Well, yeah. Well, Krista
It's-
took me out to this particular spot, and she didn't tell me nothing. But as
Mhm.
I was walking to it, I'm telling you, I had got this big, enormous puff of air that just went right into my face. And as it went right into my face, I could smell flowers.
Mhm.
Like, it's a dark subject, but when you're at a funeral and all the flowers are around, and
Yeah.
that smell, that smell of fresh cut flowers and all that, I immediately got that when I hit that location, and I was like, oh, it
Yeah.
smells like somebody had like a memorial service or something out there. I mean, we still don't know if they did or they didn't, but I mean, that's exactly what I got when I went
Yeah.
there. I was like, oh, that's strange. But
Yeah.
this place that she's speaking of is enormous. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful
Well,
place.
well, it's not. It's technically there's only 500 acres out there, but it's a resort that it's kind of like a timeshare, I guess. And I worked out
Yeah,
there
but
for a
that
long time.
500 acres when you're investigating is huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yep.
And we only tapped into, a little bit. It's like
Yeah.
we went into, I think it was the administrative building. I think when you
Mhm.
told me about that. And we had gone down into the lowest floor, and I'm like, man, I bet you they seen some, what did I say? Like shadow people or something like that down there. I said, this is a place where you'd see that. And sure enough, she started telling me a story about
My daughter.
her daughter had an experience there with a shadow person. So I was like, well, I can see that. I can
Yeah.
see that. And
Yeah.
it's just amazing how and I mean, we went out, they have this little waterfall out there. We were out investigating that stuff all night. And they do, going back to the horses, they do have a place where they keep horses and things out there. So we were
They
out
do
there
trail
for quite
rides.
a while.
Yeah.
I think most of the night we were out there checking out the horses and seeing what they were doing and what we were hearing. And there was quite a few things that were going up. It sounds that you wouldn't normally hear were going
Well,
on.
well, down at the horse stables, we've heard drumming.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that was kind of odd. So yeah, so we did spend some time down there, and with the animals, kind of see how they would react down there, because like I said, I know how my dog did, out
Right?
there previously. Yeah, it's just crazy stuff. And then I got this big lard of a dog now, Haas. I'll put his picture up.
The house hippo.
Yeah,
He's a house
that's Haas
hippo.
right there. That's my boy. Love the dog dearly. But you want to talk about not sensitive? Now, I had him at the Ray County Museum several times, and he'll just walk around there, mope around. He could never picked up on nothing, never cared. So
He
we're
just
good.
lay down and go feed me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if he did see a ghost, I don't know. He was just pet me, one of those type things. But he never acted weird there, And I've
Yeah,
had
I think Krista has a picture of my dog and his attitude. My
yeah,
dog has an attitude. He does. There he is. There's his attitude. See him smiling?
Yep.
That's his attitude. He's like,
Yeah.
whatever. You
Yep.
gonna feed me, pet me, love me? Okay.
Right. Right. Exactly. So I don't know. I think animals are just so sensitive, to the other side, and also they could be picking up on us too, what we're feeling. If we're sensing something, maybe some of them that are more open to it are
Are they picking up on our vibration?
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Are
Exactly.
they picking up on our vibration and reacting to it, or are they seeing these things for themselves?
Right.
I don't.
Exactly.
I just don't know. Mm-mm.
No idea. No idea. I sure would like to know though. I wish animals could
Yeah,
talk.
yeah. I guess we're gonna have to, find some psychic mediums that can talk to dogs, and we're gonna find out. We'll ask the hard questions.
Mhm.
We'll ask the
Well,
hard.
here's my
We'll get in
right here.
contact with Murray. We're gonna contact Murray, and we're gonna ask him.
Yeah.
We're
There
gonna
you go.
say, hey, is this really what happens? We'll see what he comes up with. I think that's a good plan.
Yep. I got my dog sitting his head on my lap right now. There he is.
Oh, that sweet thing. Well, we're rolling up on that 52 mark. What would you like to do here? We can close the show?
Might as well, unless
Yeah.
anybody else has anything. else to say. Anything?
Well, I think that, you know, me and Krista, when we're together, you just never know what's going to happen. I'm just saying, make sure,
Yep.
you know, you pay attention to the notifications. If you've not hit your notifications for Blondes and Booze, make sure you do it now, because you never know what we're going to do. We may
Our
come on
Facebook
it.
page. Also our Facebook
Yeah, we
page.
may show up at 10:11 live in the
Yeah.
evening. You never know.
I don't know. Running around the hallway of the hotel like we did 2 weeks ago.
I don't know. I think maybe this time we'll put Tim in the chair and
There we
we'll
go.
run him around the hotel.
There we go.
I think we'll be less likely to get kicked out if we have him.
Yeah. There you go. Now, I'm gonna put up the poster again here, and
Yes.
you guys, like I said, it's worth going to. It's for a great cause, great speakers, and it's definitely going to be a good time.
Yeah,
Tim,
just come on and visit everybody. You know, this would be a great time to meet, you know, all your favorite people. They're all going to be there, and they're just going to be walking around.
Right.
You're not going to have to pay for, you know, to take your picture with them. You're not going to have to do all of that business.
Right.
I mean, they're right there to talk to you.
Yeah.
So just come on. I can't even say it enough. I just can't say it enough. It is a great event.
What time does it start, Tim?
Everything opens up at 9 a.m. It's an early 9 a.m. start.
Okay.
Goes to 7 p.m. and then hopefully we got something to celebrate, and we're all going to congregate in the bar area afterwards, and just I got a feeling I'm going to hug more people than I've ever hugged before that weekend. But I'll be honest with you, with the last few days I've had, I kind of need that. So
yep.
Right, that's fine.
Yeah,
that's fine. We got hugs for you waiting, just waiting.
Yep. For
But
sure.
anyway, we'll see you on set. Well, I'll actually see you probably Friday when I get in, and you know, I'm excited. So thank you, Tim, for coming on and talking about, you know, the animals and the paranormal, because it's a topic not really talked about, but it happens. It happens.
Yep.
Thank
and
you
if anybody has any questions or anything, go ahead and put it in the chat or comment on the video after. And if it's even questions for Tim, you know, I will, Brandy and I can reach out to him, and, you know,
because we'll see him the next day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll just see him the next day.
Right. So anyway, we appreciate
Thanks, everybody.
every one of you for coming in and joining us. And you all have a good weekend, and come see us in Ann Arbor. See you later.